your heart, you can't get up, you can't stay down. You think this must be the end of the line, but I'm here by your side, holding on, holding tight. Come on friend, let's move on to a higher place. Jello, ọmọ kìí sojo, ṣe bólúborí ni wá, a ó borí dandan o. Má ṣe sùn, má ṣe rẹ̀wẹ̀sì, má ṣiyèméjì rárá, rẹ̀mí má ṣe fòyà, má ṣe bẹ̀rù, má ṣe fà sẹ́yìn rárá, iṣẹ́ ń bẹ o. Jello, jello, jello. Sitting here on your bed, talking of struggles gone and the many dreams we cannot achieve. Painful scars and near misses, but we've gone way too far to be thinking of turning the other way. Jello, ọmọ kìí sojo, ṣe bólúborí ni wá, a ó borí dandan o. Má ṣe sùn, má ṣe rẹ̀wẹ̀sì, má ṣiyèméjì rárá, rẹ̀mí má ṣe fòyà, má ṣe bẹ̀rù, má ṣe fà sẹ́yìn rárá, iṣẹ́ ń bẹ o. Jello, jello, jello. So when you feel the pain will take you down and you can go on, remember here I am, your jolly brother in arms. No matter what may come, we'll shake the world just like we said. Come on friend, let's move on.
It's all about transparency, accountability, consensus, responsiveness, and inclusiveness. The leader, not just talking, he's listening. Meet your governor. You're right, Gino.
Thanks a lot for joining us. This is Meet Your Governor, a very special edition. As a matter of fact, it's the last edition of the program for the year 2012. And it's special because today the panelists are made up of veterans and stakeholders. I'm Kola Jumobi, I'm the anchor of the program, and on behalf of all the participating stations, we say welcome to our guest, the Governor of Ekiti State, who has promised to uphold the virtues of accountability and transparency in his dealings with the people. Mr. Governor, you're welcome on the program, sir.
Thank you, Kola. It's great to be back here, and compliments of the season.
Thank you very much, Mr. Governor. And we have in the house an old horse. It's a way of celebrating the very best of Ekiti, who is blessed with the best of human capital you can find in all areas of human endeavor. Tonight, to join us to drive the program and ask questions is a three-time Federal Minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, a pioneer general manager of the defunct Ondo State Broadcasting Service, a man who cut his teeth in broadcasting in the old WNBC, WNTV, and he also served as permanent secretary, a man who aspired to be governor of old Ondo State when Ekiti was a part of the old Ondo State, and is also on record that he demonstrated an uncommon and very rare spirit of sportsmanship. After he lost the election, he attended the swearing-in ceremony of his opponent, a businessman, a stakeholder, a lover of Ekiti, a lover of humanity, a man we all revere. Welcome with me in the house, Are Ayo Ogunlade. Baba, thanks a lot for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much, Kola. And may I also take this opportunity to thank the governor, and also in particular Princess Ronke, who against all protocol came to meet and sat with me for 1 hour to make me come to this program, even though I say as an old person I should leave it to the younger ones. So, Ronke Okusoya, wherever you may be, thank you very much indeed, And thank you very much, Governor.
Thank you, Stan. Thank
Yes,
you
sir.
for accepting to do the grilling.
Thank you, sir.
Truest tradition of broadcasting.
Thank you, sir.
All right, we also have in the house another stakeholder who is a human capital and business consultant. He's also a newspaper columnist with the Nigerian Tribune, and he also had a stint in broadcasting, and is a lover of Ekiti. Reverend Tokwe Popola. Reverend Popola, thanks a lot for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much, Colette. And permit me to also say compliments of the season to the government. Thank you very much.
All right then, having said all the protocols needed to flag off the program, let's move on straight into business, and it's going to be a privilege to start off, and then Baba will take the next question, and then go on circulating before we throw it open to members of the public who are free to ask any question they so desire. Let's begin with the budget, Mr. Governor. You presented a budget of over 90 billion to the Ekiti State House of Assembly, which was passed a couple of days, 93, which was passed a couple of days ago, and from all indications it will be signed into law in a few hours' time. Taking a look at that proposal, one can see that infrastructure got the lion's share, talking about roads, water, electricity, etc. What informed the lion's share going to infrastructure? That's over 20 billion or thereabout.
Thank you, Kola. Well, let me first start by commending the Ekiti State House of Assembly for a historic moment. This is the first time since we became a democratic state since 1999 that the budget would actually be ready before the new year really rolls in. So we wouldn't really have any excuse in not rolling out programs from the 1st of January 2013. Yes, you're right. The budget, the appropriation bill will be signed into law tomorrow. And we were very happy about that. Well, there were some changes that emanated from the House of Assembly, but it's in the nature of this relationship that the House too would have their own views about what we've presented in the interest of their constituencies and in the interest of Ekiti State at large. But we will sign what is coming back from the House to law tomorrow. But your substantive question relates to why infrastructure is taking the lion's share. Infrastructure, in our view in this government, has always been the driver of the economy. If you have a situation in which we have improved water supply, inevitably you're going to have improved sanitation. If you have improved road network, if you have improved electricity, rural electrification, it would all come together to make Ekiti a destination of choice for those who want to invest in business, for those who want to engage in other forms of activities in a manner that they will probably be reluctant to do if it would take them ages and ages to get down to Ekiti because of bad roads. One of the things that recommends us now is that the road network in our state has relatively improved over the years. So what we're doing with this additional money we're putting into it is consolidating on current efforts, because many of the roads that we are fixing, they're still not completely done. Some are halfway done, some are almost completed. So that's partly why. But I also don't want to leave the viewers with the impression that infrastructure is the be-all and end-all in the budget. It's not. One of the critical gaps that we have identified ourselves in the last 24 months of our work in the state is human capital development and what is known in local parlance as empowerment of the people, and we feel that we really need to do a lot more in that direction. So a lot of the resources of the state will be committed to ensuring that we provide those who are willing to work. Not everybody is willing to work, we must first admit that, but at least those who are willing to work, the opportunity to work, either through small scale loan facilities that we make available to them or through institutional support, particularly if they want to go into areas like agriculture, areas like trading, and we are actually creating a special purpose vehicle for that. There's going to be a new ministry that would be focusing primarily on rural development and community empowerment. And essentially, this ministry will be working with towns unions and cooperatives and those areas that have not been fully utilized in delivering the services to the people. So a priority of the budget is really human capital development and empowerment.
Are, it's your turn.
Thank you very much indeed. Your Excellency, the second largest vote in your budget is education.
Yes, sir.
Having regard to the huge investment on education, compared with the dismal performance of Ekiti State students in public examinations, we don't know this, how you are going to disburse, into what areas you are going to disburse this second largest allotment of your budget. But would you say that the end so far has justified the means and your vision of what should have happened with the investments that has gone into education?
Oh, clearly, one can never lose out investing on education, even if in the immediate time the evidence is not that visible to the ordinary eye. You put your finger on it by identifying the terrible performance that we have been seeing in public examination. And the reason why we've allocated the huge chunk of money that we've allocated to education is to also complete some of the work we've started, both in terms of infrastructure. There are a number of things wrong with our education sector. There's no way you're going to get kids to go to school in an environment that is not conducive to learning. If the roofs are leaking, if the desks are unavailable, if they don't have windows in schools, they're going to be distracted from the primary work they're supposed to do, learn. And teachers too are going to be distracted if they don't have staff common room and necessary facilities to do their work. So we have concentrated a great deal on infrastructural development in our schools. We've gone round, as I speak, we're completing the renovation of all schools, all public secondary schools in the state. But we have also come to terms with the fact that no matter how beautiful and attractive we make the schools look, the quality of teaching is central to what gave Ekiti the credibility that it used to have in education. You and I were just talking about Baba Babalalasa, who was the first African High Master of Christ School. And those were the pioneers who really put Ekiti on the map when it came to education. Now, our teachers are trying their best, but the best is still not good enough. And that's an area that we think we need to pay special attention. Capacity development of the teachers, as well as remuneration of the teachers, so that they feel enthused, they feel committed, they feel wanted, and they feel respected in their chosen profession. It's a tough one, because when you're asking for people to put in the best, you also have a responsibility to support them in order to do that. And we feel that by spending, it's not just a matter of money, but money is important in order to create quality assurance system that would monitor a lot more accurately what is happening in our schools, in terms of the curriculum development, in terms of the learning methods, in terms of the facilities that we provide and the use of those facilities. We provide computers, for example, and I've had a few complaints come back to me from teachers as well as parents that some of the students are not using the computers for the purpose they were meant, because they're distracted doing all sorts of things, playing games, watching porno, graphic materials on it. And I said, well, once you provide kids with this, curiosity kills the cat. They're going to be curious, and I think ultimately it will pay us for them to be curious with the facilities they have rather than not have anything at all. And the education would improve in that respect. So the money that is going into education is going to focus on continuous infrastructure development, on instructional materials for the students, on quality assurance, inspectorate division, on capacity building for the teachers themselves, so that we can gradually improve on this dismal performance. And it is dismal. I always use my own school, which used to be top school, not just here but in the entire Western region. The idea that Cry School would produce a pass rate of 9% in the last West African School Certificate examination is absolutely unconscionable. I cannot even begin to understand where that came from. But that represents what's happened across the length and breadth of the state. So your word dismal is absolutely correct, and we have a duty. I cannot be here as governor, given my own background, given my own education, and I was produced by this public school system. I wasn't produced outside of this system, and not do something about improving education in our state. So it's a task that must be done, because education is the bedrock of every other thing that we achieve. Once we get education right, we're likely to make a leapfrog into the technology world that we want to be in, into the development that we want in our state, and into the general improvement of our people. The exposure would also help us, so that we won't be tunnel visioned, which is something that we suffer from now in the state.
Thank you.
All right, then we move on to Reverend Tope Popola.
Your Excellency, I looked at your roadmap in terms of infrastructure development, and I just want to say that they're very commendable. But there are a few things in terms of dotting the I's and crossing the T's that I think I just want to highlight. Some transformers, for instance, I got to know that some transformers in some quarters had been installed, but and that's
been energized.
But they've not been energized. Now, what is government doing about that? And then, of course, I noticed the road, that's the one linking the General Hospital, the Worokoro, that main highway. You see patches there that have been, that have not been overlaid. It's like the old asphalt is still what is there. And then, they cut up that, and then they move on and do another stretch. Especially if you look in front of the hospital, I'm sure you would have noticed that. The General Hospital itself, some of the, in fact, the main drainage around that area has not been touched at all. So I don't know what government is doing to make sure that this road is not only delivered, but it is properly done.
Thank you. You're very observant, and you've put your finger on areas that we've also noticed ourselves. You would probably not be aware that the portion you just referred to stands in the middle of two road contracts. One awarded before we came to office from the state hospital up to Ifaki, and the new one that we awarded from Ojumoshe up to state hospital. And there was some disagreement between the two contractors as to who was responsible for the drainage in that area, which has been resolved. And you would have noticed that they've started work on the drainage in that particular section you mentioned, but because of the holiday, they've had to go away, and when they come back, I'm reasonably confident that they would fix that particular portion that you refer to. And I think in terms of the other parts that you also mentioned, it's in the nature of contractors to work in this rather haphazard manner. And no matter how well you monitor them, they always have an explanation. It's either because a particular design has not been approved by the ministry, so they're leaving that portion for the ministry to come and say you can go ahead with the work there, or they wanted to fix something that would have an impact on that portion that has been left undone. What I can assure you and assure the viewers at home is that the road will not only be delivered, as you said, it would be delivered in a qualitative manner, particularly the one linking teaching hospital to Ifaki. On transformers, it's really not our job, frankly. I don't want to be known as a transformer governor. It's not the job of a governor to be distributing transformers all over the place. There is an institution of government that is statutorily responsible for providing transformers. It's known as PHCN. But because things have gone so pear-shaped in Nigeria, everybody gets transformers. Local government chairman must get transformers, state governors must get transformers in order for their people to enjoy the benefit of reasonable electricity, where it's even supplied. In most cases it's not supplied. So we got transformers, and in many cases those transformers were installed. It's now left for that same body, PHCN, to energize them, because we don't have the authority to energize. That's where the problem usually lies. And in some cases, we then said to communities that want transformers later that, look, we will get you transformers, even though it's not our job, but if you want transformer, we'll get you. But we also think you owe a duty to yourselves in your residents association or your neighborhood to contribute money for the installation of your own transformer. And that way you have a sense of ownership and responsibility and protect the transformer a lot more carefully than you would ordinarily do, because you think, oh, government is going to supply us with another one. So we're trying to cultivate a sense of responsibility in the citizenry when we supply these things, not minding the fact that it's not really our job as a government to be supplying transformers all over the place. It's something that we have to do because our people want it, and they won't wait for PHCN that may not supply it in 3 years before they have access to electricity. So that's why we do what we do in that regard.
All right, then we take the very first break on the program as we ask this question. If you have an opportunity to meet with Governor Fayemi, what would you ask him? Take a look.
Good governance is all about transparency, accountability, consensus, responsiveness, and inclusiveness. The leader, not just talking, is listening. Meet your governor. You're right to know. Good governance is all about.
Mo sọ mo fi sọ lẹ́ẹ̀kejì wípé gómìnà tẹ́lẹ̀bẹ̀ yóò ṣe dáradára ní pàtàkì ní kìkì àwọn ọ̀nà tó ṣe ní gbòòrò àdó, ṣùgbọ́n lọ́wọ́ tó wá ti parí kété iṣẹ́ ìtìjú kó wá ṣe àwọn irú iṣẹ́ tó ṣe ṣáájú yìí, kó wá ṣe síyìn, kó wá ṣe gudugudu méjì, kó wá ṣe yàyà mẹ́fà síyìn. Àwọn iṣẹ́ tó sì kú aláṣẹ pé kó ṣe láwọn Èkìtì pàápàá bá tó pé headquarter wa ní Adó bí ilé iṣẹ́ tó dára tí àwọn mùtúmù wà àwọn ọmọ wa gbogbo tí a lè máa fi iṣẹ́ ṣe iṣẹ́ á wà fún ayájúrú káàárọ̀ iṣẹ́ ṣe lọ́pọ̀lọpọ̀ tẹ́bí ò ní pa wá tó ń gbé ò ní gbẹ wá ó jọ ọ́ kókó tó ṣẹ̀ nípa rẹ̀ ní kété tá a bá ti sọ tó tán Ọlọ́run àánú àádé fún gbogbo wa ní ìdúró àti ìfọ̀kànbalẹ̀ ṣe ọdún láyọ̀ àtàláfíà yìí tó pọ̀ lọ́wọ́ ajẹ́dé bá láyọ̀ àtàláfíà Ọlọ́run á sì lọ́ra ẹ̀mí fún gómìnà Fáyẹmí ìdúró àti ìfọ̀kànbalẹ̀ ajẹ́jú rẹ̀ ìjọba rẹ̀ á máa gbé yìí síwájú àti síwájú ó ti ṣe gudugudu méje sí Ekiti State ó ṣe gudugudu méje sí capital wọ́n kó jọ kó jàre orí okú lọ́mọ orí oko gbogbo tó kù ó pé gbèsè láti wá ṣe dáradára káwọn ẹ̀bẹ̀ tó sojú ọ̀nà wọn kó dára kí ìtura kó bá bẹ̀ particularly èyí.
Assuming I made Mr. Governor one-on-one, there's a lot, to tell him. In fact, for the past years now, this governor have been trying, Fayemi have been trying, let's just say he have been trying. We see a lot of things from him, street light, good roads. In fact, we bike riders, we now move freely on the road. Traffic lights. In fact, this man have done a lot. I will give him a handshake and, ask him, to go on with his good work. He's a good governor, of course.
As a young man, I really try. You yourself, you see what is going on along everywhere, especially in the Ekiti here. You see what is happening. Fine, by the time it's another 1 year more, I think everything has been very changed. Beautiful. I will strongly advise for more focus on people. Plus, I will advise the governor not to trust anybody. He should be on the ground. It should be practical, more practical. See practical by himself, anything. Not trust anybody, any lieutenant. Go out by himself, look at what is happening, and back it up. I wish him best of luck.
So mo like gómìnà wa iṣẹ́ tó ń ṣe iṣẹ́ takuntakun tó ń ṣe mi like ẹ̀ tó bá jẹ́ pé mo rí tí n bá dó síwájú ẹ̀mí àyìn pé ìjọba wọn ó tù wá lára gbàdẹ̀ like ẹ̀ pé Ọlọ́run adé túbọ̀ máa fún wọn ní agbára sí pé bọ́ ṣe ń ṣe kán máa yíwà wọn padà pé Ọlọ́run tó dẹ̀ mú wọn síbẹ̀ náà á mú wọn pẹ́pẹ́pẹ́pẹ́ síbẹ̀.
ká fi àkóso Èkìtì ilé Ọlọ́run lọ́wọ́ ẹni tó bá bọ́ lọ́rùn ṣòwò kì í pàdánù tó bá gbé àkóso yẹn kí Kristi kó máa tọ̀ lẹ́yìn pàápàá àwọn onígbàgbọ́ kò sí nǹkan tá a lè ṣe tó kọjá àdúrà o tá a bá ti ń gba àdúrà gbogbo nǹkan tó bá fẹ́ ṣe ó fi lé Ọlọ́run lọ́wọ́ àti pé bó ṣe ń tọ̀ káàkiri tó ń ṣe ìbẹ̀wò fún ìlú kọ̀ọ̀kan àwọn ìṣòro wọn ọ̀kan kò jọ̀kan tí wọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ń béèrè tí wọ́n ń forí barí kó tó di pé ó bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí gbé ìgbésẹ̀ ó dáa púpọ̀ tó bá lè tẹ̀síwájú nípa ilé yóò dára Ọlọ́run fún ẹ̀ yóò máa tọ́ sọ́nà o.
Akí gómìnà wa kí wọ́n dáadáa lórí iṣẹ́ takuntakun tí wọ́n ṣe lè wà lórí nípínlẹ̀ Èkìtì àwọn tó ti kọjá wọ́n ti jẹ́ gómìnà wa náà wọ́n ṣiṣẹ́ ṣùgbọ́n iṣẹ́ tiẹ̀ yìí ó tún ṣe pàtàkì púpọ̀ pàápàá ojú ọ̀nà wa gbogbo bá ṣe ń lọ bá ṣe ń bọ̀ tí gbogbo ẹ̀ ṣe yìnyín tí ò sí pọ́nmi sí omi ò tó ẹ̀mí ló lọ̀nà ẹ̀wọ́ ló lọ̀nà tí ìyẹn ò sí mọ́ nínú ọ̀rọ̀ wa lẹ́kìtì state àdúpẹ́ yẹn gidigidi adẹ̀dúpẹ́ lérí bí iléeṣẹ́ bó ṣe ń lọ bó ṣe ń ṣe àti pápá àwọn arúgbó bó ṣe ń tọ́jú àwọn arúgbó wa adúpẹ́ gidigidi lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀ torí ó gbìyànjú nípa tarúgbó yẹn torí a gbọ́ pé kò sẹ́ni tó dépò ibi tí àwọn arúgbó yẹn dé tí ò ní máa gbowó yẹn lọ títí láéláé adúpẹ́ yẹn gidigidi lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀ torí oore ọ̀fẹ́ ni fún wa Ọlọ́run náà fún lórí ọ̀fẹ́ Ọlọ́run á fún lágbára.
We want to thank the present government. I think they are trying within their best what they can do, but I only want to implore them to try more for the comfort of everybody, especially pensioners, because I am a senior citizen. And I would want the governor to please look into our cases so that we too can enjoy as the civil servants and other areas of the government, because we have contributed our own quota to the development of everything in the state. And as much as possible, we should be carried along in every development that is going on. We thank God for the road networks that is doing all around and other developmental works that he is doing. We pray that the Lord Almighty will strengthen them the more as we are going into 2013, that more achievements will be recorded during their tenure.
Well, we have listened to people speak up on if they have an opportunity to interact with the governor. The program is Meet Your Governor, a platform where the governor interacts with the people on governance. Today, the last episode for the year 2012, is a really special edition, and that's why we're having in the house an octogenarian veteran broadcaster, a three-time federal minister of the Federal Republic, Are Ayo Mulade, in the house, and a cleric, Reverend Tope Popola, who is also a newspaper columnist and also a former broadcaster in this episode. So let's move on to health. We've talked about infrastructure, and it was reported that government is planning to upgrade the teaching hospital to a world class with the establishment of the diagnostic center and the laboratory. But reports reaching us say that for as far back as 3 months running now, the X-ray machine at the teaching hospital is not functional. And when patients go there, doctors would rather tell patients to go to private clinics in town. So this is causing a lot of hoopla in your determination to provide efficient service delivery in health.
Okay, thank you, Kola. I don't have that information that you have just provided for my benefit, but I would investigate it. But
confirm that.
You can confirm it.
Yes, my wife had to do an X-ray. You had to go outside to go do it.
That's strange, but we would follow up on that. But the primary issue that you raised the issue about is the diagnostic center that we are working on with the International Finance Corporation, IFC, which is the private wing of the World Bank. Essentially, the idea behind having that is not just to have X-ray machines, but also CT scans and other diagnostic instruments that would be available at the beck and call of the professionals in the teaching hospital. And it's going to be done on a public-private partnership basis, because some of the things that would be required, they don't come cheap, which is understandable, and there are those who can afford to pay for them. Not everybody would pay. Obviously, those who are enjoying the free health benefit of the state, if they have an ailment that requires the use of the diagnostic center, they'll get it, the government will have to pay for that. But for others who are able to afford the use of the place, then they would have to pay for it. And our expectation is that this should be ready in another 9 months to 12 months. Before the end of the year, we should have the structure fully set up. But on the immediate one, I'm going to, when I leave here, speak to the CMD of the teaching hospital, because I don't see how you can have a teaching hospital that has no functioning X-ray machine. It's a misnomer and it's unacceptable. So thank you very much for that information.
Shortly, in a few ticks from now, we'll throw the lines open, and the numbers to participate in the program are being displayed on the screen. But for the benefit of those who are listening on radio, the number to call is 080-382-77023. I repeat, 080-382-77023. Please send an SMS to this number. Okay, there's someone on the line. 081-6728-4947. There is a caller on the line. Good evening. Okay, he's up. Okay. Are, your next question.
Your Excellency, it has been reported that the State House of Assembly has passed a bill for the establishment of Ekiti Peace Corps with a view to ensuring peace and tranquility as a benchmark for good governance. Beyond this, there are critics who say that this might be the Ekiti equivalent of Boko Haram, and that it is being established in order to harass opposition and silencing any dissenting voices and so on. Maybe Your Excellency would like to expatiate on why you need Ekiti Peace Corps at this point in time.
Thank you very much, sir. First and foremost, there was an opportunity for those who have doubts about this to have participated in the public hearing that took place in the House of Assembly in the process of putting this proposal into an acceptable bill. If they didn't have the opportunity, it's unfortunate that they didn't take it. They had the opportunity, but they didn't take it. But on the issue of the Peace Corps itself, sir, I have been known to be an unapologetic, and I want to underline that word, unapologetic, proponent of community security, because I've consistently argued, and the evidence is there before us, that the structure we have in the country today in terms of law enforcement and police management of crime is inadequate. It's not working, and part of the reason why it's not working is that the people have not really taken ownership of this security system. If you bring someone from Karanamoda to serve in Ekiti State with the best of intentions, and you put the man in Ayegbaju or Oye, it's going to take him a long time to even understand the dynamics of that community, because he's not from there. He doesn't speak the language, he doesn't know the people, he doesn't understand the cultural mores, so he's going to be struggling against a weight of opposing factors that will not allow him to be as efficient as he ought to be. But then the constitutional provision in Nigeria today is that we have a federal police structure. I don't know of any federation. I don't know of any country that is practicing federalism that has a unitary police structure. None in the entire world. India, Australia, Canada, United States, they all have community-based police system, from the county level to the state level to the federal. Pushing the argument of a community policing is not in itself an argument to abrogate federal police. That's not the issue. And what we are doing with the Peace Corps, at least as far as Ekiti goes, is a support mechanism for the police structure. It's not an alternative structure. Many of our communities have vigilantes. They have local hunters that help one community to the other in managing the security of that space. What we're just putting on that is a structure of accountability and transparency that would enable them to still do that work, but do it in a manner that we can hold them in check, and also do it in partnership. The truth of the matter is, unofficially, police cooperates with OPC. Unofficially. They will not admit upfront that they do it, but I know that they do it. But they do it in the interest of the overall peace of the community. For those who may have fears that this is going to be used to attack opposition. There are mechanisms in place.
All right, Mr. Governor, just let's pause at that. There's someone on the line. Hello. Hello, good evening. Okay, he's right.
There are mechanisms in place to ensure that that doesn't happen. In fact, this fear had been expressed at the level of the National Security Council. The National Security Advisor had raised this matter with me, and I sent him a copy of the Ekiti law. That look at it and tell us if there's anything that we've done that is deemed to be unconstitutional or improper. And because of the experience there, they also asked for other states who may have similar institutions to send them the law. I personally have no interest or desire to want to harass, intimidate any opposition. It's a free world. The opposition talks every day. They talk in the social media, they talk on the streets, they point out what they don't like about Fayemi. Once you are in the public office, you are a fair game for criticism, and I have no issue with that. People know that I don't have any objection to being criticized. I mean, it gives me the feeling to do better once it is constructive. If it is not constructive, what I don't necessarily like, I ignore. If it is something that I can make use of, I'll make use of it. Ekiti belongs to all, so nobody should have any fear that government wants to use security to intimidate them. In the alternative, we want to use it to protect our people and provide them with alternative mechanisms that can enhance their security beyond what currently obtains.
Thank you. Reverend Popola, before you take the next question, let's go to Vox and check out the SMSs that we have, since Mr. Governor says it's for all, and this program is for all, and this is an opportunity for all to participate and ask questions. This one comes from Bayo Ise, and he writes by saying, Your Excellency, thank you for the current changes and developments in Ekiti. May God see you through. The opposition party says the automatic permanent job permanent job your government promised the volunteer corps members is a deceit, since there is no employment in the agenda of government. Sir, what is your take? By yourself.
Well, at no time did excuse me. At no time did government promise automatic jobs to anyone. We wouldn't have promised automatic job. We would have promised positions for people pending the time they can gain permanent employment, either within government or outside of government. And the volunteer corps is that stopgap measure. It's not a permanent position for anyone. Majority of the people who have been on the volunteer corps now, many of them have been on it for 18 months. We're currently undergoing a review because we've discovered that there are many people who enlist on the volunteer corps, collect the 10,000 naira every month, but they're already working in other places. So we need to be able to, from time to time, review those who enlist on this so that we can weed them and then bring other people in who would also use the opportunity genuinely to look for other work that is available. Many of them we've recruited into permanent positions. In the Ekiti State Traffic Management Corps, for example, we've recruited them into the new emergency services, ambulance and fire. We've recruited them. Some have been taken to teaching profession, those who have teaching qualification, and continuously we are reviewing and bringing in people on a permanent basis where we can, but there are no permanent jobs for anyone.
I'm told we have a caller on the line. Hello. Hello, good evening. Hello. Okay, we seem to... Hello, madam, we can't hear you. Please speak up. Offline. All right, Reverend.
Your Excellency, in your response to the first question on the budget, you did talk about your intention to create a new ministry of poverty alleviation.
Well, not quite poverty alleviation.
Poverty reduction.
Not even poverty reduction. Rural development and community empowerment. Working with cooperatives, with towns unions, because they, in our view, have proved to be more effective in delivering services to their communities.
Okay, looking at the scope of what that ministry is supposed to cover, is there not going to be some kind of overlapping in the functions currently performed by other government agencies, maybe like the Job Creation Agency, the Ekiti Enterprise Development Agency, the Community Development Agency? Is there going to be some kind of, are we going to see the ministry become like an umbrella body?
Okay.
All of these functions, or are we going to have some overlapping?
It's a very useful question, Reverend. What we're doing with that ministry, we're excising portions of other ministries. Right now, we have Ministry of Commerce, Industries, and Cooperatives. So the cooperative section of that ministry moves to this new ministry. We're excising what is known as community development in the local government and chieftaincy affairs ministry. That moves also to this new ministry. There's already a Bureau of Rural Development which is coming into that ministry, and they are all directed at one thing: taking development right down to the people. The two agencies you mentioned, there is the Community and Social Development Agency that is World Bank supported, known as EXIDA. We're not intending to move EXIDA into this new ministry, because EXIDA takes money not just from the state. We give it counterpart funding, but it takes a large portion of its resources from outside development agencies. So it's better left where it is, but it would do complementary work. I mean, I've gone around on December 1st, I met with representatives of towns unions all over Ekiti, and they brought requests of their top priorities for their communities. We're going to share this with EXIDA. EXIDA will take the portion that it's able to do out of that. The rest of it will be handled by this new ministry in terms of delivering directly to the community. Some communities want just town hall, some want civic center, some want palaces for their obas. Those are the things that are essentially doing. They're not asking for gigantic projects in the meetings I held with them. But the vehicles that we have used to deliver on these things seem not to have been able to deliver in an effective and efficient manner. That's why we want to pull everything together and hold someone accountable for delivering on that task, since that's a major priority of government now.
All right, Mr. Governor, well, when you were given the staff of office to the Oniye,
yes,
you made a statement that government will always accord the traditional institution the respect it deserves. And I want you to talk about the controversy surrounding the regency of Elisha in the Koli local government. Government announced the name of a regent to ascend the stool when the Kabiyesi passed on. And there's another woman who is also parading herself as the regent of Elisha. Now, there are two sides to this. The woman who is parading herself, who is not recognized by government, believes that she's been witch hunted because she doesn't belong to the ruling party, while the person who is sitting on the throne is seen as the government candidate, so to speak. But really, this is Meet Your Governor. The people of Elisha and the people of Ekiti State will want to know, how fair has government been fair in the issue of the regency of Elisha?
You know, Kola, we're the land of honor, but we're also the land of rumors. The reality is that as far as the government of Ekiti State is concerned, none of the two people you're talking about is recognized as regent in Elisha, because the process had not been properly followed. And the advice we've given to the traditional council, because the chairman of the traditional council and a delegation of Obas came to see me about this, and my advice to them was, I think it's best, can we advise Elisha people to quickly let the kingmakers go into their own processes, produce a nominee for the Oba of Elisha, so that we overcome all this. Because whichever side you go for, you are going to be accused. And I don't have the expertise, I don't have the knowledge. Yes, I've read Morgan Chieftaincy report, I've read all sorts of reports, but I am no expert in traditional matters. To that extent, it's best for them to come up with an Oba. And quite frankly, the institution of regency is one that is fraught with all sorts of challenges. The previous government did something positive about it when they limited it to 2 years, that no regent should serve more than 2 years, because you have regents that have been there for God knows how long, and it makes a total nonsense of the obership in that particular community. So for me, I would even much rather, if you have a community that can do this on a very speedy basis and produce their king in the shortest possible time, all is well and good. So our position is, none of the people in question has been recognized by government. Government has taken no side at all. Government position is, go and produce a king. And once you produce a king, we will give the king a staff of office. We've had this before, you recall. Last year we had it in Ikole, where there was a battle over the regency in Ikole, and we quickly resolved that by ensuring that somebody was nominated. And the day we got the nomination, we gave the person the staff of office. That's my own approach to this.
All right then, Mr. Governor, just 5 minutes to wind down on the program, and we're going to give Are Ogunlade the privilege of asking the last question. This
is historic, as a young boy, not a young man. I've told him this story before. And I used to live very close to WNTV, WNBS. So they were the icons, and it's remained an Ekiti icon since then. So for us, it's a proud moment to be grilled by no less a distinguished person than Are and my senior in school.
Your Excellency, the Ekiti House of Assembly,
yes, sir,
has passed a bill approving pension for Ekiti governors and deputy governors. How would you explain that or justify that in view of the fact that becoming governor was a voluntary decision to go and serve for a limited period? And will it not in future be extended to members of the House who serve for 2 years, and members of council, chairman of council also, and so on? How do you intend to ensure that this does not become a sort of open gate through which people will say, we have already a precedence?
Thank you very much, sir. It's a very, very important question. First and foremost, a little correction. What Ekiti State House of Assembly passed is an amendment. The original law was put in place by Governor Fayemi. This is what most people have not paid attention to.
That's the whole idea of this program.
Exactly. It was Governor Fayemi that first put a bill into a law when he was governor. But we noticed certain inadequacies in that bill because of the altercation he was having with his deputy at the time. They put it in that law that it's only a deputy who had served for 2 years and who has not been impeached that is qualified to benefit from it. So it was exclusively made for governors, mostly, when he did his own. That's what we corrected by saying that any governor, in consonance with the Constitution of Nigeria that says any governor who has served, anybody who has served his term of office. And the term of office is 4 years. So we said the law should be consistent with what the Constitution says by saying you have to have served for 4 years, and it's only when you've served for 4 years that you are entitled to a pension and the various support that is put in that law. And it's not a law unique to Ekiti. So Governor Fayemi was not even wrong to have done it. He just did it in a personalized form. That's what was wrong about it. It's a law that has existed since the 50s, sir. The Premier of the Western region had a pension, even though it was for a limited period of office. The executive branch, and that's my answer to the other question about legislators also benefiting. It's usually tied to the executive branch because legislators always take a severance when they leave the house. There's a severance pay that they get. We may well get to a point in future where that is reversed and turned into a pensionable arrangement, but what we have simply done is that we do not want to penalize people who have put in their best to serve. And we need to encourage others who have something to offer. Public office is the highest form of duty that I know that any citizen can render. And you should not then go into penury because you have served your people. And if we have a system in place that takes care of those who have served and served genuinely, perhaps the kind of malfeasance that takes place when they are in office would be significantly reduced. The United States President earns $400,000 when he's in office. Probably a tenth of what the CEO of a Fortune 500 company earns.
The Attorney General of California earns more than the President of the United States.
But the excitement in being the President of the United States is that if you successfully complete your term, you know that you're going to get a presidential library paid for by the state, you're going to get staff paid for by the state, you're going to have a whole range of support mechanisms that you have till you die. So you can endure the low level of pay because you know that ultimately you will be best served by your country. And I think we shouldn't read political meaning into this. That's why I had to make that point that this was not a law made by Fayemi. Fayemi just amended it so that it would take into account what is in the Constitution of Nigeria, that people who have served the full term of office are the people who are entitled to pensionable treatment.
All right, Mr. Governor, it's on that note that we'll apply the brakes for today and for the year. It's been Meet Your Governor. We'd like to apologize to the numerous callers. We tried as much as possible to link you in, but telecoms issues didn't allow us. Bad network didn't allow us. We hope that as much as possible we have tried to answer so many questions, but if we couldn't, let's save the rest for another day. January, by the grace of God, Mr. Governor, we'll be back in the studio to take your questions live on issues that have to do with governance. On behalf of all the participating stations, we'd like to say thank you to our panelists. But before we do that, let me quickly run through the large retinue and entourage of Mr. Governor. We have Honorable Commissioner for Information and Civic Orientation, Mr. Fumini Afuye, thanks a lot for joining us. Honorable Yemi Adaramudu, he is the Chief of Staff, Ekiti State. Thanks a lot for coming, sir. We have Special Advisor to Mr. Governor on Legislative Matters, Honorable Dapo Karowi, thanks a lot for coming. Olayinka Oyibode is the Chief Press Secretary. Chief Mrs. Ronke Okusoya is the Executive Chairman of the Broadcasting Service of Ekiti State. Mr. Martin Zayola is General Manager at Adaba FM Akure. Mr. Ben Akibola is GM NT Ado Ekiti. Yemi Oluwoshile is representing the General Manager Progress FM Ado Ekiti. Mr. Wale Ojo is GMEK TV, Ehi Ehomyong, SA Media, and Babs Daramola is also SA Media. Let me say a very big thank you to our veteran, our Baba, three-time Minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Pioneer General Manager OSBC, former Permanent Secretary, former governorship aspirant, a stakeholder, a man who will always celebrate, one of the finest Ekitis that dots different landscape in the world. He's been here on the dot of 5 o'clock as a call to duty, and we're so much grateful because what you've been doing is role modeling for all of us coming behind. We say that may you live long and long in the service of your dear state.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot for coming, sir.
Thank you very much.
Reverend Tope Pupola is a newspaper columnist, a reverend gentleman who will speak the truth and stand by the truth. Reverend Pupola, thanks a lot for being a critic. And he asked me, Kola, these questions, have you cleared with the governor? I said, Governor is not interested in we clearing the questions with him. And he said, that is the essence of the program. And that is why he has volunteered to be a part of the program. We look forward to having you as regularly as much as possible since you're a lover of the truth. And the governor is also abiding by the truth. His word, he says, is his bond. Thanks a lot for coming.
Pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
Right. Mr. Governor, maybe a last word to wish the people of Ekiti a Happy New Year and what to expect in 2013. I know you will still do a broadcast, but maybe in a sentence or two, your message to the Ekiti people as we look forward to 2013.
Well, thank you, Kola. Well, the first thing to say is to thank God for the peace and tranquility that we've experienced in the state in the year 2012. We pray for more of that in 2013. Much more importantly, I want to, of course, appeal to our people to still exercise a little bit more patience. We are committed to delivering the goods in all areas that we've promised, not just in terms of social security, but particularly this hydra-headed monster of unemployment that is ravaging our streets is going to be a major priority for us. Infrastructure is nice, but if people don't have a sense of self-worth, it's always going to undermine whatever else we do. So we know and pray that 2013 would be a bountiful harvest in terms of jobs and work to do for our people in Ekiti State. And I pray for peace, for tranquility, for security for our nation, because our nation is also in the doldrums and we all need to pray for our country.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Governor. I'm Kola Jimobi. Let's do it again in January by the grace of God. Good evening.
Falls in your heart, you can't get up, you can't stay down. You think this must be the end of the line, but I'm here by your side, holding on, holding tight. Come on friend, let's move on to a higher place. Jello, ọmọ kìí sojo, ṣe bólúborí ni wá, a ó borí dandan o. Má ṣe sùn, má ṣe rẹ̀wẹ̀sì, má ṣe iyèméjì rárá rẹ̀ mi, má ṣe fòyà, má ṣe bẹ̀rù, má ṣe fẹsẹ̀ yìí.